I guess that's long enough. Okay, good morning, everybody. It's your friend Bruno. And actually, kind of a beautiful morning here. I pray it's a beautiful morning where you are too. I know it's not a good morning for everybody, but it is what it is. And in this live session, I'd kind of like to discuss priorities. And these are priorities that every mariner knows. And this is how we pretty much organize our lives. Doesn't matter if we're at sea or if we're on land, but we have a set of priorities. And be interesting to see how anybody else kind of reacts to this. So let me go ahead and get one fired up. I'm running out of those things. Down to my last pack. This is number 20, going down to number 1. And believe me, brother, for all the people out there that don't like the idea of me smoking, before I started smoking, you did not want to be me and you did not want to be around me. But that's a story for another day. Well, it looks like somebody's watching. Okay, let me get this thing fired up. So good morning to you. Hope you're having a good morning. Would you like to enter something into the chat? I guess not. Okay. So let's talk about those priorities for a little bit. So if you saw the title of this thing, it said priorities. Number 1, people. Number 2, cargo. Number 3, ship. All right. Any normal human being, normal, human being, has a set of priorities. And 3 viewers come aboard and said hi, and so is Avenel. Good morning. It's good to see y'all. Looks like there's 15 of you aboard. It's wonderful. Gosh, I hope you're all having a great day. And thanks for coming aboard. But like I said, we was talking about priorities. And hopefully you got something to chime in here too. And Jay Gus says thanks. Thank you guys. But I'm hoping that I can pass on a little bit of wisdom. And your first priority should always be people. And these are your friends, your family, the people aboard your ships. And you're probably wondering what I'm referring to when I say aboard your ships. Because believe it or not, even if you're a land person, you're aboard ships. Especially if you speak English. You see, in the English language, we have many ships that each and every one of us are a part of. They're typically grouped under the heading relationships. And relationships, of course, involve people. Ever think of that? Now, besides, we can delve into this a little further. There's all kinds of relationships. There's even relationships with things. Stewardship, ownership. These are ships. These ships take many, many different forms. Comradeship, fellowship. You find out real quick the influence on the United States from the English. Since we adopted our language, well, we're a lot more maritime a country than what we think we are. Because no matter where you go, you're surrounded by ships. So besides the ships that I just mentioned, let me ask some of you, what kind of ships can you name? And we got a few people here. Let's see here. RD 2025 says hi. Yeah. Well, welcome aboard. Can you guys think of any other ships? We talked about stewardship. We talked about ownership. We talked about friendship. There's another one. We talked about relationships as a whole. Fellowship. Comradeship. There's another one. Come on, I know you guys can think of some more. Mothership. Very good one. Very good one. Mothership can mean many, many different things. Of course, there's always mom. Yeah. And Herzberger Happy Acres Farm says hello. Good morning. Welcome aboard. So RD 2025, let me ask you this. Can you elaborate a little bit on your concept of mothership, please? What does mothership mean to you? And Herzberger Happy Acres Farm asks how our day is going. I guess that's a chance for everybody to chime in. Well, I'm here. Hopefully you're all doing good. But we're discussing ships. So I'm just curious what everybody, especially RD 2025, says about mothership. What is a mothership? And Hyan says hello. Good morning and welcome aboard. Because actually we're aboard a ship right now too. We're just having a very brief relationship in these moments, aren't we? Yes, Hyan, we see ya. Because I'm really curious what you guys think about, when it comes to the ships you're aboard. And Wi-Fi Connect has put up a couple of emojis and such, and yeah. So, at any rate, it doesn't look like you guys are going to chime in on this, so I guess I'm going to take the helm and steer the conversation a little bit. And Cherry Coke says hi. Welcome aboard, Cherry Coke. well, most relationships, or the ships that we're all aboard, as I see things, involve where the little vessels that carry our souls, meaning this thing, our human bodies, all right, and our souls themselves are involved with others. And we, for some reason, care for and are concerned about the other souls aboard the ships. And it was real interesting because RD 2025 had mentioned mothership. And in a funny sort of way, our planet Earth that we happen to be traveling through the universe upon is our mothership. And of course, we got to take care of her, right? Because we only got one of those. Nobody's figured out a way yet to get us evacuated off this thing. There is no lifeboat. Because we can't just exist on another planet or celestial body at this moment in time. So we got to take care of this ship. And no, Mr. Blankenship, I don't know who Preston Pittman is. I feel sorry for the guy if he looks like me or if I look like him. Yeah, I hope he's a lot more handsome and a lot more blessed. At any rate, so how do we take care of this ship? We take care of the people aboard this ship first. So we need to look out for one another. All of us. Not just for us, but for all you too. We got to do it. So the first priority aboard ship are the people, meaning the souls, aboard it. We've got to take care of them. Now, the second priority is the cargo. So I'm going to ask you guys to think about this. What inside you, what in your soul, what in your heart is the cargo you're carrying? In other words, why are we here? Now, in the last live stream I put up, I spent 2 hours talking about the love of my life. And how I managed to mess things up. The human condition has the propensity to mess things up on a level like you wouldn't believe. But still, we exist. and I myself, well, I'd like to think that I'd like to think that I exist to serve a higher power, which, having the maritime bent that I do, involves a heavenly monarchy, a lord, and an admiralty. It helps generally keep me in line. Back when I knew the love of my life, I was kind of far removed from that. That's probably one of the reasons why it went so poorly. But as I've aged, the closer I've drawn back to that basic content or context of a higher power. You can't see the higher power or touch the higher power. I mean, I can't reach out and, oh, there it is, right there. You know, none of us can do this. But we can see the results of it. Those things are all around us. These not only in nature, they're in the things we've created that serve each of us. These things, a lot of them, we have stewardship over. And we need to care for them. But the most important cargo that we carry is love. And love is really an interesting thing when you think about it. Now, there's love and then there's instinct. All right. Instinct is what animals other than humans have. Most animals other than humans exist purely within the moment. For example, at this moment, it is approximately, let me look here, I got to do the math. 1340, coming up on 1343 UTC on the 8th of July, 2025, right? Okay, that's the moment. This is it, right now. And now it's about 10 seconds later from when I said that. Most animals, perhaps all, as we understand it, exist within a moment. 1 second. Tick, tick, tick. We do not. We remember everything going back as far as we can. In my case, probably till the time I was about 4 years old, to the present moment. And then we use those experiences to focus on the future. And what we want that future to be for those who go on Earth is the world we hope to create. We should want it to be fair and kind and gentle towards everyone. So we need to think about not only the people we see in our immediate line of sight or whatever we see here on YouTube or whatever media, but others that we can't see. And We need to be conscious of them. It isn't easy. It's a terrific burden. Because we have to strike a balance in this. There's the moment we're in where we got to work or we've got to do something. You know, if nothing else, we've got laundry to do, we've got boots to polish, you know, in my case, or whatever. But we have to strike that balance. But we have to think about others. We have to be kind of praying for them all the time. There's that old saying, treat others as you would like to be treated. Because if you don't, well, sooner or later, you kind of end up like I am in this moment. Now, I know a lot of people think I'm cool or whatever it is on this channel or wherever we talk about. But really, I'm not. I'm just another empty vessel trying to convey love. Love's my cargo. It's not mine like it comes intrinsically from here in my heart. It's love that comes down from our monarch, our Lord, and the Admiralty. So that's the cargo. Love. Now, aboard ship, when you carry a cargo, you're not supposed to pilfer the stuff. That cargo belongs to somebody else. There is a shipper and a consignee. The shipper originates the cargo. It's loaded aboard the vessel, safely tucked away in the hold, and then conveyed across the waters to where the consignee is expecting it to be delivered, or not expecting it to be delivered, as the case may be. It's not ours to pilfer. In the last video I made, a lot of how I screwed up the love of my life was the fact that I pilfered the cargo. I pilfered love because I coveted it. I'm paying the price for that now. And I know I am. I've been paying the price for that for a long time. And I used to think that, okay, well, you know, you're just too hard on yourself. You need to go on. Well, the funny thing is, once you pilfer a cargo so precious as that, yeah, you just really shouldn't. I'm not saying end your life or anything. It's just don't go there again. Because each time I went there again, you know, I had high hopes and everything, and it just didn't work out. I couldn't forget about the one. But you got to keep going. There's other people that deserve the love that we're carrying. We don't have to be involved in deep, close bonds or relationships in order to share love. Just simple, kind, respectful, everyday acts can convey love. So can any of you think of any kind, simple, everyday acts that you could do with your vessel that would convey love? Because at this moment, your vessel's aboard our ship, and I'd kind of like to think that we're all doing this, that we're all working towards something greater. So are we? I'll give you guys a few minutes to think about that. It seems like we've got a few trolls aboard. Somehow nothing new about that. A little disappointed. But I'm not going to throw you overboard. Might put you in the brig, but I'm not going to throw you overboard. Dan Bennett's come aboard. Says hello from Australia. Good day, mate. How are you doing down there? Or I hate to say that, down there, because you're not. It's all a matter of point of view. You know, did you ever think for a second that we actually, when we drew the globe, had it upside down, and the south is the top of the world? It's like the concept of time. I never could figure out, why couldn't we just go on UTC around the world? It's the same time every place. But that's not worth. Okay. Life would be so much easier. Dan says, I won't be on long, mate. I'm off to bed soon. It's 12 p.m. on Wednesday night here in Australia. Let me think here. I got to do the math. Let's see here. So it's here, and there. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. It's something to think about, isn't it? Yeah. Not a problem. Not a problem, Dan. So, at any rate, we were talking about people, ship, and cargo. Or people, cargo, and ship. Those are the priorities. Yep. Dan just made the remark. He says, I'm like 14 hours ahead of you, mate, if you're in the USA. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're probably all of that and a bit more. 12. Wait a minute, I got to do the math here. 12, 13, 14. You're actually 15 hours ahead of me from where I am. Yeah. So, first priority, people and the souls aboard. The second priority, cargo. We should all be carrying love inside of us, in our souls. Should be given over to that. Don't pilfer it. We're conveying it. These are why our ships have purpose. Relationships, comradeship, fellowship, worship. When we're aboard those ships, we're in a conveyance. So now we talk about the last priority, the ship itself. Now, the funny thing is about the human existence is if you take care of the two first priorities, people and the cargo, those around you, those you can't see, those you serve, that we all should be serving each other. And we convey that cargo without pilfering it, without laying credit for its creation to ourselves, because we didn't. Remember, we're just aboard a ship with a cargo, right? Well, the funny thing is, the ship kind of takes care of itself. Because we all know that without the ship, well, there's no way that the people and the cargo, in this case love, can be conveyed. So without thinking, we take care of the ship. It pretty much takes care of itself. Self-sustaining. Relationships, fellowship, even stewardship, ownership. We take joy in maintaining those things that we have authority over. But they're things that we have authority over. People, well, yeah, I guess we can have authority over people, but we have to be mindful of that. Because that involves leadership. We have to lead by example. I admit, I'm probably one of the poorest examples that's ever been created. Hang on here, I just want to take a look at some of the chat messages. And, Dan says that he's just subscribed and said he'd promote my channel. I appreciate that. We all appreciate that, Dan. The more people we get aboard to come on board for these chats, well, the more wonderful it is. But to be perfectly honest, I kind of do these things, off the hip and on the fly. I'm sorry I can't do them outside like I used to, but to be perfectly honest, this vessel that I'm aboard isn't in the best of shape anymore. And of course, Tiffany Crawford had typed in YTXRVOHN, which I have no idea what that means. For all I know, her cat just ran across the keyboard. I don't know. But yeah. The ship will take care of itself if we do keep in mind the other souls aboard. And Alex has come aboard and said, hey. Oh, Alex. But yeah, those are the priorities. People, cargo, ship. So what happens if you run into an emergency? What happens if something happens to the ship? Or your vessel, for that matter? It's kind of like where I am in the moment. It's a little spooky. All right, Dan, you have a great one. Good luck and Godspeed, and hope to see you around town soon. Dan shoving off down in Australia. So, at any rate, for more than a few years now, this vessel that my soul is contained in has been in decline. And Alex is shoving off. Good day. You take care, Alex. Good luck and Godspeed. And at any rate, this has been going on since really I was in my 30s. I didn't know entirely what was going on until I was close to being in my 40s. But by the time I was late in my 30s, I found out about some damage. And yeah. So these days that I'm in right now, I've known we're going to come. I've been pretty blessed myself. I hope you have been too. But now I got to figure out what to do with the physical cargo on my ship. Those things that I've held for so many years that have intrinsic value. Mostly to me. Some that might mean something to someone else. It's trying to find a place for those things where they may be cherished for entirely different reasons than I had. That's hard. Yeah, it's pretty easy for you to say, I guess. Until the day arrives that you can't stand up. For very long, anyway. And you're in a state of either constant pain or unsteadiness. Now, I'm trying not to be depressed. It's part of the reason why I'm on here, actually. But the fact of the matter is, we all get old. There's no escaping it. And I pray that all of you are going to have loving families to help care for you as you get old. As for myself, I've tried to assemble a crew. The other ships that I'm aboard and that are aboard, the other vessels that are aboard those ships with me, the other friendships, relationships, fellowships, and in fact, worship that I've participated in. Now, mariners are a bit different because generally we hang kind of close. We might not always like each other, and we might, compete. But when the call goes out, we go out for the other guy regardless. We don't care what flag he's flying. We go if they're in distress. Land people? Too many places to scurry to. Too much distance to easily cover with an automobile. or even with this thing. It's too easy to go and hide in the woods. That's the disappointing part. Now, I can understand how people have families and they have friends and we're all in different places spiritually in our lives. I get that. And in those moments like that, like I'm in right now, where I'm sitting in a chair, looking outside the window, talking to you guys, unable to get out of my house, fortunately still able to maneuver enough to get to the toilet and get a cup of really bad coffee, decaf, get to the refrigerator. I've got that much. But simply put, if some things don't happen pretty quick, we're going to have to abandon this ship. I don't want to. And when I say abandon this ship, I mean these little chats and stuff we have. Because I won't be able to maintain the lines of communication. Already, one of them is down. My ability to get up to and retrieve and send mail. The next thing to go, and mind you, when you can't do that, I can't pay my utility bills. I can't pay my taxes. Because I'm one of those old-fashioned guys who doesn't do everything online. Because simply put, I know that this thing can be hacked. I know too much. I've seen it. Just as sure as there's trolls on this channel right now. I've been a victim of it. I like to think I learned from it. But a lot of people who've never been a victim of it or make a business out of having other people's being victim of it don't get it. I remember when I was learning about computers. And I remember the guy who taught us. This is back when I worked at General Telephone. There was the first guy who came in. He taught for maybe a week or two and then scrammed. He was just gone. Another opportunity, he's out of here. Went off Pacific Northwest somewhere. Silicon Valley, I don't know. Wherever the hell it was. The second guy who came in, he'd known a thing or two. Good guy. Seen a lot. Had a couple of beers with him after the classes got over. We got to know each other a little bit. He had a very good point about something. He says, there's all of these antiviral programs and security services and whatnot that are created to protect you from being hacked. And I'm like, yeah. He says, did you ever think that maybe the people that are doing the hacking are the same people that actually... It's like, yeah, it's a small circle, but it makes sense. He says, how'd you come up with that? I said, it's real simple. Back in the day when I worked for Sperry Rail Service, now mind you, this is back in the day. Hopefully they've cleaned up their act. But back in the day when I worked for Sperry Rail Service, they deliberately didn't want us to be perfect. That office didn't. It was an unspoken rule. You see, because if there weren't train derailments due to the fact that rails failed, well, then there wouldn't be a need for us. It wasn't enough that they could just count on us being fallible. You know what I'm trying to say? Now, when I drove courier for the phone company, and of course I drove school bus and motor coach, they didn't want you to be fallible. Those are people's lives. I could accept that responsibility just fine. And even when I was a company courier, I wasn't hauling people, although actually once I did. That was kind of strange. Hubcaps, bags of sand, pedestals, all the necessary instrumentation to make the phone company work in the field. Now that was one thing, but one time I actually had to haul a technician. That was strange. But yeah. But yeah, you were the captain of your own ship, and but they wanted you to be safe. They didn't want you to lose stuff. You had a mission. But the most important thing was being safe, until suddenly the most important thing wasn't that you were safe, it was how much you could carry, how far. And being rested and working with the rotation of the Earth didn't make any sense anymore to that level. They thought they knew how to do it better. Oh, did they get what they deserved, I guess. Well, then I came into the office. And I worked in there for a bit. 10 years. And one of the last jobs I had in the office, and I suppose I can talk about this now. Verizon ain't going to like me for it, but that's too damn bad. Because instead of you paying for my disability, everybody else in the United States does. So too damn bad on Verizon. And yes, you are the provider of my telephony service. I get it. You can crush me like a paper beer cup. But one of the last jobs I had, when things got slow, was to pull up records and go through them and intentionally clear pairs. Clear the records, show everything is good, even though it was screwed up. Which, of course, made more work for the men in the fields. The central office technicians, the service techs, all those guys. It's like, yeah, it's so screwed up, let's just go ahead and wipe it off and start with a clean slate. Basically, let's destroy the copper system before the fiber optics are actually all in. I'd like to know how many people you screwed up for that. In effect, we were rewriting history. Make work. Yeah. I've never quite lived down having to do that. But I'm paying the price for it now. So what am I trying to do here? Despite me being ugly and repugnant, back around to those priorities. People, cargo, ship. I don't have any family that looks after me anymore or wants to. I get that. They got their lives. My friends are drawing kind of further and further away. I get that too. They've got their lives. We're all spiritually in different places. But I'm trying to pass on a little bit of wisdom here. Because a fairly number of us, particularly men, are going to end up a lot like I am. And believe me, I ain't seen the worst yet. It's just around the bend. I got to face it. I'm going to have to deal with it and go through it. I've seen the insides of assisted living facilities. I've seen the insides of public housing. I know there's not enough people to care for people like me. I don't like being a burden. I like helping people. If nothing else, listening. Sometimes I don't have the answers. Actually, oftentimes I don't have the answers. But sometimes the act of spending time, that tick, tick, tick of moments, well, that's what gives a ship purpose. We are all moving through time. And time is a funny, funny thing. Oh yeah, Einstein, could actually explain a bit about how time could bend. And it does in a way. Time flies like an arrow, but fruit flies like a banana, But time. We've only got so much of it. Before the heavenly monarchy, our Lord and the Admiralty call us home. I don't know if I've squandered time or not. I look around me and I can see a lot of things that I probably should have been working on. And I didn't. But back when I was working, back when I had a purpose to the world, which is different to say the purpose to the monarch. I've always had a purpose to the monarch. I made the most of the time I had. And yeah, you see me smoking these things, and you're probably thinking, well, you're cutting your time short. My time was short ever since the day I turned about 30. I think I was 28. My life expectancy was supposed to be 38 years. No kidding. 35 years I lived in Bloomington Normal. Actuaries used to publish charts every once in a while in the Panagraph or in a Chicago paper. You could actually tick it off. It's like, okay, let's look at your history. Let's look at your medical history. Let's look at your genetics and such. I did it. I think it was 36. So I was going to kick off in a couple of years. That was my life expectancy. I was 36, 38. That was going to be it. I'm 63. I've been on borrowed time for so long, it's not even funny. And in an odd sort of way, these things have actually extended my life. But I guess I cheated time. When I found out I had or actually when I found out that I had arrhythmia tachycardia, I grounded myself. Rather than risk somebody else's life or my own by going up in an airplane for no reason. Because I would have been a private pilot. And there's other ways to get around that are a lot cheaper than flying an airplane, especially a private plane. They get real expensive real quick. When I was company courier and kind of an unscrupulous doctor had me on medication I shouldn't have been on in the first place, or at least at levels that he had prescribed, I got to a point one morning where, simply put, I knew it wasn't safe for me to drive, and I just stopped the truck and said, okay, that's it. Send somebody to come get me because I ain't doing this anymore because it's dangerous. That's how I ended up in the office. I tried to be productive in there. Even the manager said, Bruno, just learn how to collect your check and go home. I can't do that. I can't. When I left that and found myself disabled, I started praying a lot. I tried a couple of times to build relationships with somebody, and I messed those up. But I kept praying. Because our monarch and our Lord and the Admiralty give me hope. If they give me hope, I have to convey it. Now I'm at a point in my life where the vessel, the human body that has contained me for these 63 years, is starting to fail. There's hope for me. Our heavenly monarch and the Lord and the Admiralty give me that. I know I'm going to be okay eventually. It's the betwixt here and there. Those are some scary waters to cross. Days full of, well, for lack of better terms, submarines. And my vessel is unarmed. Funny thing is, I wouldn't have it any other way. But as long as I believe in that monarchy and the Lord and the Admiralty, I go on as best as I can. Some days is harder than others. Some days I cry. Sometimes in literal physical pain, other times in emotional one. I cry from the physical pain because I'm a human being. You can only take so much. I cry for the emotional pain because I know that that's when tears and blood of our Lord's been shed for me. And thank you, London. I know. That's what we're talking about this. So eventually I'm going to be okay. Eventually we all will. We just have to face these moments with courage and faith, but mostly faith, because that's what gives courage. And we can't stop praying. Thank you, London. I'm trying. It's like that time thing. Sometimes the tick of a second can take hours to pass. And there's News 43 with JR. Hi. Welcome aboard. He's just been talking about priorities. Hopefully everything's okay with you aboard your vessel today. Steady as she goes, JR. Steady as she goes. Kind of in a rough pickle, but it is what it is. But we've been aboard here for over an hour now, and we probably ought to be shoving off. I'm hoping to have somebody come over and mow the lawn today. Hoping to have a friend come over before too awfully long and run some errands so that I can maintain, literally, wireless communications. And yeah, London, I suppose we could do a verse. Go ahead. And here's what London has entered into the chat. From the Bible, Romans 8, verse 18 states, "For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory that shall be revealed in us." It's an interesting thing to ponder, London. It's an interesting thing to ponder. Because I'm not so much after the glory that's going to be revealed in me. As I'm after being a subject of the monarch to whom all glory belongs. because without that heavenly monarch and our Lord, there's no meaning to our existence, is there? And yes, London, there's always been a plan for me. I'm just very humbled to know what it is. So that's going to be it, everybody. Yeah. I don't mean to cut you off, JR, but yeah, I got to get underway here. You do too. So until next time, I'd like to say thanks for coming aboard and visiting for a little bit. And to all of you participated in the chat or might view this later. Good luck. Godspeed. We'll see you around town.